That's on. And that's loud. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on.
So the event will be very loud.
Perfect. Okay, very hot mic. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us at the Frisco Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. My name is Maureen Johns, and I am the Director of Government Relations for the Chamber. Thank you for taking your time to come out and getting to hear and know the candidates. For those of you who could not make it, and I'm supposed to be standing right here, for the live streamers at home, you can watch this live on the Chamber's website, friscochamber.com, and we'll be live streaming that as well. And first of all, we want to say thank you so much to our gracious host, Tim. You always step in and say absolutely whenever we ask, so we appreciate you so much. Folks, if we can give them a round of applause here for our gracious hosts, Grace Church. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and welcome our Frisco Chamber President and CEO, Crystal Howard, and she's going to come up and explain tonight's run of show.
All right, thank you, Maureen. Well, we are so grateful, like she said, to everybody who showed up today. We're going to hear from City Council candidates for places 1 and 3 separately. We're also going to hear from Frisco ISD trustee candidates for places 6 and 7, again, separately. Now, you'll have to bear with us because between these groups, we're going to do a quick change out, but it should still move very quickly because our goal is to maximize your time to hear from the candidates. Now, before the candidate portion of the evening, there are 2 propositions that you'll see on your ballot in May that we want to address. Now, the Frisco Chamber does not endorse candidates, but when issues go before voters that could impact the business community, our board may elect to take a position. And when it comes to propositions A and B, we invited both PACs to present to the board back in February. We sought out and collected additional data on the cost and potential impact to the business community. And ultimately, in March, the board voted to recommend a no vote on civil service and collective bargaining in the fire department. Now, our opposition to Props A and B is in alignment with our established legislative priorities that emphasize the importance of local control. So I'd like to now invite the PAC supporting that vote no stance to come to the stage and give a 3 to 5 minute overview of the issue. So please welcome Bill Woodard with Safety First Frisco.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you to the Chamber for having me. As Crystal said, I'm Bill Woodard. I'm here with Safety First Frisco, and I'll talk to you a little bit about Prop A and B tonight. So first of all, what are the propositions? In very general and short terms, Prop A implements civil service for the Frisco Fire Department. It would govern the hiring, promotion, and disciplinary actions within the fire department. Prop B is collective bargaining. It would allow a union to come into Frisco and bargain for pay, benefits, or anything else that the union wanted to bargain for. So you might ask, why do we need these things in Frisco? It's our position that we don't. The group I represent loves the city, we love our firefighters, we love all of our first responders, and we've built one of the best fire departments in the country. Specifically, we have our ISL 1 rating that we've had for decades. Our fire department is accredited by the Commission on Fire Accreditation International, and we recently received recertification. We were also chosen to represent cities of our size, and we are the only city of our size chosen to do this, to participate in a national program to improve tracking, response times, and the operations of fire departments nationwide, and we'll be able to participate in the rollout of that. You don't get those things unless you're the best of the best. So you might ask why the propositions are on the ballot to begin with. The answer is simple. It's about control. It's specifically about union control. A union wants to come in and dictate how your city is run. They want to take the control that you have as citizens away. That's why you actually have to vote on these. The state of Texas says that in order for these to be implemented, you, the citizens, have to decide to give up your control of your city. Because what will happen with either one of these items, if they pass, if the union come in and makes a demand and your elected city leaders and your city manager doesn't think that's a good idea, thinks it can't fit in the budget, for whatever reason, the city can't afford it, then it goes to an arbiter. That arbiter then decides what you, the citizens, have to pay for. You get no say at that point. So this is absolutely about local control and whether you get to continue to go to your elected leaders and your city manager and tell them how you want your city run, or do you want to turn it over to a union to make those decisions? You might hear that these are about safety, staffing, or response times, but all the facts show that Frisco is the best in all of those areas. We've got a table in the back outside. You're welcome to stop by, and we're happy to go over all those details, but we only have a couple minutes tonight up here. So please stop by and check us out. We'll happily inform you on all sides. We also have an event coming up on the 18th. We have former city manager of San Antonio coming in to talk about her experiences with unions down in San Antonio and how they almost bankrupted the city of San Antonio in the early 2000s. So that's on the 18th, which is next week, and we would love to see all of you there to hear her story and to hear her experiences. With that said, we ask you to vote no on May 4th, and we thank the Chamber for having us, and stop by and see us in the back. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Bill. Now, as our city council candidates for place 1 take the stage, you can go on up. I want to remind everyone, just some housekeeping, that election day is May 4th, and early voting runs April 22nd to 30th, and of course, you can always access information on polling locations and the propositions and the candidates, what will be on your ballot at the Frisco Chamber website. So I'd like now to please, if we can, give it up for our moderator tonight. He is Rick Rogers. Now, Rick co-owns the Frisco Enterprise and Star Local Media with his wife, Elizabeth, Frisco residents since 2011. Can you please give it up for Rick? It's a hard job. Thank you, Rick, for being here. We appreciate you. Now, Rick is joined at the table by Maureen, who's in charge of keeping consistent and accountable to the format this evening. So, Maureen, I think the candidates are ready. I'm going to give this to you so you can go over those rules.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, thank you for joining us this evening, candidates. I'm going to go over the rules briefly. Each candidate gets a 2-minute opening statement and a 1 minute for your closing statement. As Rick asks questions, you'll get a 1 minute response time. Keep an eye on your timekeeper right over here, who will give you a 30-second warning card and a stop card when the time is up. And we hope not to have to use the bell because it literally is a cowbell. So we're going to try to refrain from that. Okay, while there will be no rebuttals, each candidate can challenge one answer by their opponent with a 1 minute response for that challenge. Okay, Rick, they're all yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, candidates. Good evening. The candidates for Frisco City Council Place 1 in ballot order are Mark Pylan and John Keating. We will take opening statements in ballot order. Mark Pylan, you have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. Great to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. As it was said, I'm Mark Pylan. I run for City Council Place 1. I have 43 years in local government. About 20 years of those are executive leadership positions throughout 3 fire departments. I've served on USAR task forces with the federal government for about 16 years with deployments to the Pentagon. I was there the night on 9/11 when the Pentagon was hit by the plane. It was actually on fire when our team got there. 2 deployments to Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, and 1 to Haiti in 2010 for the earthquake. As you see images today in Haiti, I walked many of those streets that you see on television today. We're on search and rescue missions. There's only 28 teams in the whole country, and I was part of Virginia Task Force 2 from Virginia at the time. Our campaign is about you. It's not about special interests. It's not about developers. It's about you. It's your voice. We want you to be heard. Right now, you're up against a lot of money. You're up against people that are donating to these candidates, and also what you heard Safety Frisco pack tonight at $105,000 in 1 quarter. You don't stand a chance in a development issue when they're taking in money from developers and then turning right around and voting on issues for those same people. your voice is not going to be heard. We saw that with Universal. Of all the protests about Universal that came down, that theme park got built with a special use permit. So we want to get campaign finance in order in this city and start doing the right thing. It's about right versus wrong. It's certainly legal to take the money, but we believe that we should have a situation in our ordinance like Plano that says you take over $1,000, you can't vote on their item. I think that's a fair thing to do, and we're about public safety, developing all parts of Frisco, the east side and the west side, and finish out the last 17% of this city with smart development. So I appreciate this opportunity and ask for your vote. Thank you.
John Keating, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. All right. Done enough of these now. I can fork the microphone. I'm John Keating, serve on your Frisco City Council. Before I met you, I served 13 years in the U.S. Army as a counterintelligence agent, and I'm a combat veteran of Operations Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Moved here to Frisco in 1999 to raise 2 sons, Zach and Ryan. They went all through Frisco ISD, K through 12, and went off to college and have come home and are working now in this area. And that's the dream and the vision that we have for Frisco, is to be a full lifestyle city where you can come here, start a business, raise a family, buy a home, have a great school district, send your kids off, and they've got a chance to come back and live that same dream. Over the past 13 years, I've been serving on City Council. We've built the city into a place where we are number one in so many areas. Number one place to raise a family, number one safest city in America, number one place to start a business, number one place to raise an athlete. And I want to keep our city in a place of number one while we keep a competitive tax rate, keep our city safe, and continue to build on our success. So I'm looking forward to serving you for 3 more years. This will be my 3rd and final term in Place 1, and very much look forward to having your vote. Thank you, and again, I'm John Keating, serving for Frisco City Council. Thank you.
As we get into questions, just a reminder, while there will be no rebuttals, each candidate can challenge one answer by their opponent. First question, and Mr. Keating, you'll be the first one to answer. Frisco voters will be asked to vote on Proposition A and B concerning civil service and collective bargaining for firefighters. What is your stance on the issue?
I'm a vote no on Propositions A and B. They do nothing to improve safety, put more people on a truck, build more fire stations, or reduce response times.
Same question.
I am in support of both Proposition A and B. As I told the Firefighters Association, I wish we could have solved this issue differently. They tried. They tried to get the council to agree to meet and confer, which is simply sitting down and having a discussion. They refused. I also recommended that the city adopt, very similar to what we did in Virginia Beach when I was a district chief, assistant chief there, and that is a personnel board that you can take your discipline to. Think about an appeal system when the city manager gives discipline and your appeal goes right back to the city manager. That is not due process. That is not a fair process. That's what they're after. They're after some due process. Civil service will give them that, and I am in full support. Just as a side note, too, I feel like that we had a missed opportunity tonight. The mission of the chamber is to inform and be informative to citizens. We did not get the other side of that. With Matt Sapp should have been here. He should have been invited. And I think it's a missed opportunity. They should have been here.
Next question. The city of Frisco is moving forward with investment in redevelopment of the rail district. As downtown continues to develop, what role do you believe the city should play in supporting that area of the city? Mark Pylan, you'll be the first to answer.
Well, right now it appears the last information I had was the city is investing about $70 million in downtown. I went on several trips as fire chief to look at cities. We went to Denver. We went to Austin and looked at the domain to see what kind of development would probably work for our city and how it was configured. The downtown has been an issue, I think, for a long time for Frisco. If you talk to the people in the rail district and downtown, they've been promised that area is going to be redevelopment for years. I think it's finally coming to fruition. I believe that once that's done, and they're talking about, I think the parking garages are designed right now, so you can have parking. Obviously, can't get people down there if they can't park their cars. I think you'll see that big investment go down there. I think you'll see a revitalization of downtown in terms of foot traffic and also in cars being able to park in the garage. And I think it's going to be a good project, and it's going to be a good economic boom for this city and give people a place to go and visit some of the older areas that they normally would not go to.
The city is looking forward to investing about 60 to 70 million in the downtown area. It is the oldest part of Frisco, and an area that we do want to see get revitalized. It's home to a lot of small businesses, and it is an amazing area. The people there who choose that lifestyle want to maintain traffic flow. They want to have places where people can park, so they're not parked in front of their home or on their front lawn. And we want to get the sidewalks to be more walkable, to create a more vibrant space for live entertainment, restaurants, shopping, and just other opportunities to support small business, and just kind of revitalize the community and make sure the infrastructure is good, the roads are improved, and work with local business owners. So I want to applaud the work the Chamber has done, our small business community, our Downtown Advisory Board, and the work that everyone's done to come together. And of course, we just welcomed Rollertown into Frisco. They'll be the anchor at one end here near the grain silos. So we're very excited about everything that's going on here in downtown Frisco. Thank you.
While downtown is definitely the heart of Frisco, Frisco is so much more. As the city anticipates substantial new development in the north, notably with the forthcoming Fields development, the city faces the challenge of balancing growth with the preservation of established neighborhoods. How do you propose the city effectively manages this dynamic, ensuring both new developments and existing areas receive adequate attention and resources to thrive? And John, we'll start with you.
Sure, thank you. Yes, we've, just downtown revitalization is just one example of revisiting older areas, and whether that's revisiting green space, sidewalks, road improvement, infrastructure, those projects are going on around the city. We do have a capital reserve fund, sort of a rainy day fund in case something happens, a natural event, anything like that, that causes extra damage ahead of what our schedule is, to keep the city vibrant and looking great. As far as new development goes, we want to bring those corporate partners here with the jobs that they bring and those opportunities, and then also leverage the tax benefit that comes with that. So we can take those tax dollars, put them to work in the form of homestead exemptions. As I like to say, those corporate or commercial incentives can translate into homestead exemptions, and we've done that. So there's a tax opportunity, an opportunity to improve the city, existing infrastructure, and then new opportunities, of course, for as we build out the city of Frisco in a safe and sustainable way. Thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that I hear a lot on campaign trail, is that there's a notion that Frisco builds the new next thing, the new shiny thing, and they forget what's behind them. I think if you take a look at the east side of this city, and I've talked to a lot of folks that live over there, they don't feel that they have the same amenities. They don't feel that they have the same upkeep as people that live on the west side. Our medians, I've got pictures of parks, of trails that are in need of repair, that are in disrepair. I know we have bond initiatives right now to make some of those repairs, but it's clearly going to be a tale of two cities if we're not careful, because all the attention is going to be on the west side, and I live on the west side of Frisco. But Fields and the links and all the new things and the shiny things that we kind of get distracted on, and we forget about some of the older parts. So I would encourage you to take a look at some of the medians on the east side of town that are in bad need of repair and bad need of maintenance. And I think that's how we have to balance new versus old neighborhoods.
As Frisco approaches build-out with a projected population exceeding 300,000 residents, sustaining its reputation as one of the safest cities in America becomes increasingly significant. How do you plan to uphold and enhance Frisco's track record of safety amidst rapid growth and evolving community needs? And Mark, you'll be the first to answer.
Sure, there's no doubt that it's going to be dense Mid-rise, high-rise are going up, which causes density, and we talked earlier in another forum that, when the fire department or police officer gets to a mid-rise or high-rise, they're 4 or 5 minutes from getting to your door. It's not like they pull up in your neighborhood. So we need adequate staffing for our police officers. We do not have adequate staffing for the fire department. We don't meet NFPA standards for staffing right now, much less when we get to 300,000 people. So that is going to be an issue for us for certain. And more density causes a lot of different issues. And I would say that I think it's going to probably be north of 300,000 people. We have 17% of the city left to build out now, but then we're going to start redevelopment, and a lot of the old retail is going to go away because it's not needed anymore with online deliveries and big box stores, and what's going to replace that redevelopment is going to be residential. And there will be mid-rise and high-rise there too, so I believe the number is going to be north of 300,000, and if we don't keep up with our public safety needs, we won't be the safest city in the United States.
So, question again, just working public safety as we build out.
Exactly. As we reach build out, how do we balance the growth and making sure they have the public safety to address that growth?
Well, that is a great question. We are one of the safest cities in America. We rank usually in the top 5 if we're not number 1. And that's just been a full commitment from staff, council, the mayor, everyone. This council, prior councils, prior mayors, to keep Frisco number 1 safest city in America. And half of our budget goes to public safety, to police and fire, and to working with our fire chiefs and staff to identify how do we reduce response times. And sometimes that means additional roads, additional fire stations, additional police officers. We certainly want to keep a good, positive relationship with our school district, one of our best partners, keep our SROs in the middle schools and high schools, and stay ahead of the growth curve and hire and be proactive rather than reactive as the city builds out and as we continue to develop. Thank you.
When it comes to quality of life, the park system is a big piece of that puzzle. And Grand Park may be the biggest piece of the big puzzle, right, with parks. So the master planning of Grand Park is one of Council's top 10 priorities of 2024. What do you think is essential to have included in that plan for Grand Park? John, we'll start with you.
Thanks. Yes, Grand Park, that magical thing that I think Grand Park will be there for our grandkids. When I first came on council, that was something I campaigned on back in 2010, and I realized what a huge piece of land this is, what a great opportunity it is, but also we had Exide to contend with, a battery recycling center, basically a lead smelter right in the center of town. So we went to work first to shut that down, and it's not coming back. It's been completely bulldozed away, and we're working to clean up Stewart Creek and remediate that property there. For Grand Park, the question becomes, as we opened up sort of a gateway into it and have allowed people to go in and explore, is how much development do we really want in there and how much do we want to leave as natural space? And it's actually a really an incredible gift that we can give to the future generations is we have this untouched Blackland Prairie space with Stewart Creek running through it. So now that we have an opportunity to let residents kind of go in there and explore, we can get more feedback on really what it is what is our vision for Grand Park.
Well, that's certainly talked about a lot, for sure, is Grant Park. The 10 or 11 years that I've heard that as well. And I think it was stymied initially by trying to get the big lake in the middle of Grand Park between the Army Corps and environmental agencies in the state, and just could not get those two to come together. So a lot of time was gone there, but I think one of the biggest issues for Grand Park is going to be the remediation of that property. I don't think anyone really has a great idea about the cost or the time it's going to take to do that. Most environmental project cleanups that I have read about and been associated with are way over the budget that they have first been dedicated to, and the timeline is way over. I don't think we're going to really know about Grand Park until we get a really good assessment on what it's going to cost to clean that land up from the plant that was there, and how long is that going to take. Until we can identify those two factors, I don't think that we're really going to know when we can proceed with Grand Park.
Grand Park is just one of 10 priorities of the current city council. Of those 10 priorities, which do you think is the most important or is your passion? And is there one you would add? Mark, we'll start with you.
Well, yeah, for sure. The one I would add is the one that I keep hearing is number one in the city that you haven't seen in 2 or 3 years, and that's public safety. Public safety isn't on there. It should be. If it's number one, why is it on the list? I've never bought the council's explanation that, well, we kind of know it's there and we always know it's number one, but we just didn't put it on the list. I don't know of any corporation that says, hey, our number one thing is customer service, but on our top 10 priorities, we don't list customer service. It needs to be on there. As a council member, I would not vote for the top 10 items unless public safety was number one. Not just on the list, but number one. I would also look at what's currently on the list, which is the PGA, and I would think that that development, if you look across from that where the links are, that area over there is just booming, and I think that that development is going to add a lot of good to the area, and I think it's going to be a boom economically for Frisco as well. That's something that I believe is on the list and should be.
Kind of speaking to public safety is one of our evergreen policies. That's always top of mind. For the top 10, I'm really excited about the concept of innovation, venture capital, the opportunity that brings to Frisco for startups, existing businesses, having those companies come in here like Plug and Play, like Comerica, that are bringing their experience, their dollars, their people here. They can educate our small business owners, educate our young people, and help fund those young entrepreneurs, those brand new ideas that are coming out of Frisco. So I'm very excited about that. And certainly World Cup 2026 is going to be super excited. Everything you hear in the city is magically has this new deadline of 2026. We want to get it done by 2026 and in time for World Cup. So thank you very much.
What do you see as Frisco's most significant opportunity and its biggest challenge in the near future? John, we'll start with you.
We have still a lot of opportunity here, certainly with the Fields property, 2,500 acres. That's a gift for any city, any opportunity to be able to zone that much property. So there is a lot of opportunity there, both in economic, quality of life, green space, just a lot of great opportunity there for living space and just to elevate quality of life. So very excited about that opportunity. I think some of the opportunities are that my opponent has mentioned is just that sort of look back and are we being good stewards of existing property, of aging areas, older green spaces. We build out to the 10% now, and the older standard was not as high. And so how do we go back and revisit that and revisit green space and reactivate? And new sports are coming in, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different diversity here in our population, and those different sports activities that are coming with it.
Okay. Biggest opportunity and biggest challenge coming in the near future?
Actually, I think two things can be true at once. I think they're both the same for me, and that is restoring the trust that our public needs to have in our local government. Everywhere I go and campaign, the trust is broken. It started a long time ago. Universal, I think, was a tipping point when a lot of residents came up and were against that and they were ignored. We have to restore the trust in the public. When the public no longer trusts government, local government in particular, that's a bad day for us because everything is broken on the trust of our residents. And what I hear is they're tired of the money that's in politics. They're tired of the status quo. They're tired of the same people all the time. It seems that they're involved in a lot of the decisions that affect their lives. So I would say that we need to restore their trust. We need campaign finance reform. We need to stop taking money from developers and voting on their projects. I think that's a trust that we need in this city. And we just need to regain their trust. That's what we need to do.
I'd like to rebut that, please.
You can challenge.
I'd like to challenge that, yes. Yeah, I find it odd that the former fire chief, who was fired for unethical behavior and falsifying documents and breaking the trust of the city manager, his firefighters, city council, and the citizens, would challenge anyone on council or in this room on matters of trust. You broke that trust, sir. You broke that promise that you made to all of us. You put firefighters at risk. You put citizens at risk. You didn't take any ownership for that. You blamed others, and then you walked away with an agreement to go quietly, retire, and not come back. And here you are. You came back angry. You run against the mayor and lose. Now you're here running for place one against me, however you want to phrase it, and have the audacity to challenge me or anybody else on matters of trust. You call out campaign finance reports, and you took the largest donation in Frisco campaign history. So what do you want to do? You want to turn it over to rich people to run campaigns or PACs, dark money? This is ridiculous.
That's his challenge. That's your. Yeah.
Well, first of all, that's the second time. I mean, when you're a council member and you sit up on the dais of the city and you're untruthful, this is the second time that he has said that I was fired from the city of Frisco. He said that during the ICF forum, and he said it tonight. That is absolutely untrue. I was never fired from this city. I retired. That is a lie. So this person that you're in putting your trust in, that sits on the dais of the city council, is lying. That report is in the foyer if you want to read it. There was an investigation. I was cleared of those wrongdoings. You can read it. We have it at our table. I welcome you to go back there and see it. What he is saying is that I was fired is just absolutely not true. I am not disgruntled. That's a campaign political ploy that him and the mayor have been using from the very beginning. And I'm shocked that you, John, would challenge anybody's character. That's beyond the pale.
All right, time. We will go to closing statements. Closing statements are for 1 minute for each candidate in reverse ballot order. John, you may go first.
Thanks. Hey, you're welcome to challenge my character. I've made mistakes. I've said dumb stuff, and I own it. Learn from it, grow from it, try to be a better person, and move on. That's what I've done. That's what I've done with my life, and whatever mistakes I've made or judgments of character you want to cast upon me, that's fine. But the fact remains, whether you call it being retired or being refired, the investigation is out there. You weren't exonerated. The Dallas Morning News said you're let go for malfeasance. So in closing, I will simply say, I've served this city for 13 years. I've lived here for 25 years. Experience matters, and results don't lie. I've delivered on the promises that I made to you as citizens, lowered your taxes, I've kept your city safe, I've worked on roads and infrastructure, I've got a PhD in Frisco, as I like to say. I'm very proud of this city, I love it, and I will work to defend it, as I'm doing today, as I've done in the past, as I'll do tomorrow. John Keating, looking for your vote. Thank you.
Mark, 1 minute.
Thanks so much. Well, I mean, John's been here 13 years. That's 4 years over a 9-year limit, which is what most council members serve. He wants 3 more, which is 16. Way too much. It's time. It's time to go. It's time to instill some integrity in the council that will not take developer money and then vote on their projects. And I've said this over and over, and I can't get any cooperation from any city council member. Frisco's first in a lot of things. Let's be first in doing the right thing. Let's be first in telling the truth, number one, which we have not heard tonight. Dallas Morning News never said that I was malfeasant. That article was a hit piece from the very beginning. Read the report. It's out of the table. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. It's time to put some honesty and integrity back in the city council where people will trust us and that they can trust us that we won't take special interest money and then turn around and vote on their projects, which is wrong. Thank you very much. Mark Pond for Place 1.
I want to thank both of you for participating in tonight's forum. We're going to take a quick reset, so we have the folks from Place 3 come up to the stage. Thank you.
Okay. We ready? Okay. We're going to go ahead and get rolling with City Council Place 3. I'll go ahead and remind these candidates also a quick reminder for the format today. Thank you both for joining us. Candidates each get a 2-minute opening statement and a 1-minute statement for closing. As Rick asks questions, you'll have 1 minute for each response. Make sure you keep an eye on our timekeeper right over on that side of Rick, who will give you a 30-second warning card and a stop card when the time is up. We hope not to have to use the cowbell for anybody going over that time, please.
We haven't yet.
No,
cowbell
we haven't.
yet.
I know. Okay, well, there will be no rebuttals. This is important. Each of you can challenge one answer by your opponent with a 1-minute response for that challenge. Rick, go ahead and take it away for Place 3.
All right, candidates for Frisco City Council Place 3 in ballot order are John Redmond and Angelia Pelham. Opening statements will follow ballot order. John Redmond, you have 2 minutes.
Awesome, thank you. My name is John Redmond. I am running for Frisco City Council. I hope to earn your vote for Place 3. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event this evening. I want to thank those of you who have taken the time to be here with us in person. I also want to thank those that are watching online and will watch this later. I've been a resident of Frisco for 19 years. I'm married with 2 adult children. We moved here from the Chicagoland area, and we have seen all of the tremendous growth, the changes, and what we now dub progress in motion. And I've always wondered, as we continue on this path, are we leaving constituents and individuals behind? And so, professionally, I have grown my career and am proud of both my corporate service as well as my entrepreneurship. I'm a small business owner here in the city of Frisco, but I've always prided myself on being a pragmatic, constructive, and collaborative leader. I have a bias for action, and as someone with that bias for action, sometimes I get out in front, and so I am not a politician. I don't aspire to be a politician, and so that's where this campaign comes from. It's not about me. This isn't about John Redmond. This is about the citizens of Frisco. This is about you, your families, your businesses, and moving together to move forward. So this campaign has been about listening, a listening tour, listening to you, understanding your issues, and that has led us to basically the platform of taxpayer stewardship, responsible planning and development, as well as creating an environment for successful small businesses. I think that's time. Thank you.
Angelia?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chamber, for hosting this opportunity for us to share our hearts and our platform. My name is Angelia Pelham. I am the incumbent for City Council Place 3. I've spent the last 34 years of my life understanding the dynamics of running organizations. I've had an opportunity to sit in the boardroom with C-suite executives to determine financially where organizations head, what hinders them from growth, and then the overall quality of employees. Those same experiences have prepared me for the role of city council, because much like I did in corporate America, we have to make decisions on behalf of the budget, and we have to make decisions on what's in the best interest of the well-being of the residents of Frisco. So I am prepared to sit in this seat. I'm a strategic thinker, I'm an independent thinker, and I'm a forward thinker. In my first term, I have focused on public safety, smart growth, tax relief for the hardworking citizens of Frisco, and community engagement. I'm sure over the course of tonight, you'll hear a little bit more about what I've accomplished, but I ask for your vote to continue to take Frisco in the direction that it is growing. Frisco is a wonderful city. I love Frisco. I love who we are and who we are aspiring to be. Thank you.
So we might mix up the questions a little bit for this round, just to keep everybody on their toes. But the first question will be the same first question as last time. Frisco voters will be asked to vote on Proposition A and B concerning civil service and collective bargaining for firefighters. What is your stance? Angelia, you'll be the first to answer.
I am a vote no. And I'm a vote no for Proposition A and Proposition B. And I'll tell you why. I feel like I need to stand. I will tell you why. I have spent the past 34 years in corporate America. I have fought the Teamsters. I know what unions can do to an organization, and I know what they can do to a city. It disrupts the culture. You interject a third party into the conversation to where the city staff no longer has conversations directly with its employees in the fire department, but now there's a third party that has a third party agenda. I want to keep Frisco Frisco. I want a healthy culture. I want to ensure that we have direct communication. If there are things that are broken, then let us fix it together. But we do not need a third party to interject its perspective in how we operate our city. So I'm a vote no.
John?
So this will be odd. I am a yes vote. And I started, in full transparency, I started as a no. As a business owner, the consequences of my actions in my business reflect on me. As a city council person, the consequences of my actions are reflected upon the taxpayers. We've gone to this, we're going to talk about union, and we're going to talk about the challenge of these third-party outsiders. We're not going to talk about the fact that our men and women in the fire department have asked for this. They have gotten to this point. They didn't ask to be at this point. I find it interesting that I want to come to the table, I'd like to talk to you, you don't want to talk to me, and so when I come back to you with what is essentially the only alternative that they've been left, it's the only tool left in their toolkit, and they've left that opportunity to us, the citizens, to make the decision as to whether or not we're going to give them that opportunity. I have leaned in to say that I would give them that opportunity.
Let's stay on the topic of public safety. As Frisco approaches build-out with a projected population exceeding 300,000 residents, sustaining its reputation as the safest city in America becomes increasingly significant. How do you plan to uphold and enhance Frisco's track record of safety amidst rapid growth and the evolving community needs? John, you have 1 minute.
Okay, I'm going to say. Okay. Relationships matter. And so right now, Frisco is arguably, right, we've got all the accolades that tell us that it's the fastest growing, it's the best place to raise a child, it's the best place to raise an athlete. Crimes against people and property are increasing, obviously, as people and more people come here. Both our police and fire are world-class organizations. They have asked for tools, they have asked for the opportunities to be protected as individuals for themselves and their families. As a city council person, I think it is incumbent upon me and what would become my colleagues to ensure that they have the best of everything that they need to ensure that they can continue to protect us.
Angelia, 1 minute.
Yes, so as you know, 47% of Frisco's budget is geared towards public safety. We value the safety and security of the Frisco residents. So as we grow, what do we need to do? We need to ensure that we've got the right amount of personnel. Right now, we've got about 1.1 officers for every 1,000 resident in Frisco. So right personnel, right technology, right equipment, right facilities. Those are the things that ensure that we continue to be one of the safest cities in the country. And I just want to correct Mr. Redmond, crimes against people are actually decreasing. Crimes against property, yes, especially motor vehicles, are going up, and there are some things that we can do about that. But our crimes against people, those numbers are consistently going down. So big priority is making sure that we've got the right amount of people, the right technology. We saw technology play an incredible role in the last officer-involved shooting here in Frisco. Technology saved the lives of officers, so making sure we have the right technology is going to be important.
Thank you. Let's all jump in the car and take a drive around Frisco. What do you say? So, as we anticipate the growth to the north, most notably the Fields development, the city faces the challenge of balancing that growth with the preservation of its established neighborhoods. How do you propose the city effectively manage this dynamic, ensuring both new developments and existing areas receive adequate attention and resources to thrive? Angelia, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, so that's a challenge because we have invested a lot in growth. And yes, we do have a lot of growth happening in the northwest corridor of Frisco. But we're also investing in aging infrastructure. And I will tell you that since 2020, we've invested over $750 million in roads, infrastructure, water, sewer, parks, trails, because we know that in order to maintain the aesthetics that we have come to know and love here in Frisco, that we can't just invest in the new, that we also have to invest in maintaining Frisco. So yes, we are looking at growing continually in the north and across the city of Frisco. And we're happy that developers have chosen to grow here in Frisco and invest in who we are. But we know that we also have to maintain our aging infrastructure, and we're doing that. We're putting our dollars behind that. We have a capital improvement plan that's helping us determine where we invest, what roads need to be added, what traffic signals need to be updated, and that's the beauty of having that capital improvement plan. And we're actually looking out to 2035 with that plan. So yes, we are growing, we are investing in the new, but we're also investing in the old.
Thank you. John, you have 1 minute.
Do you mind repeating the question?
Oh, absolutely.
I
How
like
does
the sound of
Frisco,
your voice.
as Frisco anticipates substantial new development in the north, notably with the forthcoming Fields development, the city faces the challenge of balancing growth with the preservation of its established neighborhoods. How do you propose the city effectively manage this dynamic, ensuring both new developments and existing areas receive adequate attention and resources to thrive?
Okay, thank you. Across the 70 square miles that is Frisco, yes, what is happening in the Northwest, full disclosure, I live in Hollyhock, so I live in the Northwest, and so I'm watching that happen today. There are only so many east-west and northwest connectors that can be made, and so as people are coming into the city, as our city focuses on visitors and new jobs and businesses, as people are passing through our city on their way to Addison, Plano, Dallas, wherever, there's only so many roadways that can be built, and as my opponent has stated, there's a lot of money that's being spent, but at the end of the day, I would argue that the real answer to your question is we have to temper and be careful and responsible in terms of how we continue to develop our city so that we don't have, I'm gonna time out for a second. Who has driven on DNT and has even coming here tonight? How many of you tried to get off on Main Street? Show of hands, anyone? Nobody? That's odd, because normally it's backed up about half a mile at this time of day. So I think that's our challenge.
We are lucky to have this forum in this beautiful church here in downtown Frisco. And just a few blocks away is an area that we affectionately call the Rail District. The city of Frisco is moving forward with investment and redevelopment of the Rail District. And as downtown continues to develop, what role do you believe the city should play in supporting the Rail District and downtown Frisco? John, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm going to stay sitting because I feel like we keep jumping up and down. My concern is that the city gets out of the free market economy and economics and gets into creating winners and losers, there's an opportunity cost to the taxpayers that's associated with the tax incentives. Now, I understand bringing new businesses in, but I hear a lot of rhetoric around everyone's really excited that Frisco has become a destination city. As a taxpayer, as an individual, my question is, if it's a destination city, why do we continue to incent people to come here? Rollertown is an exciting project, and everyone's really excited that it's going to anchor the south or the west part of the new rail district. But at what cost? I would argue that giving away $12 million to build a new building and then fix their rents for 23 years ultimately cost the city of Frisco and the taxpayers $25 million.
And Julie, 1 minute.
Can I rebut that?
That can be your
Can I
challenge. You
challenge
get one
that?
challenge.
So last night, Mr. Redmond, at a forum, you said you had that same concern, and you said that we were investing $25 million. What happened to the other $13 million between last night and tonight?
So it's $10 million in a building, $2 million in a grant that may be refundable with interest, and then the rest of the money is comprised of doing the math on an under-market lease for the property.
That wasn't what you communicated last night. I just want to make sure that you're giving accurate information to the voters. Thank you.
Would you like to answer the original question?
I would. So can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. The city of Frisco is moving forward with investment and redevelopment of the rail district. As downtown continues to develop, what role do you believe the city should play in supporting the region?
I'm excited about the role of the city of Frisco and where we're headed with downtown. As many people know, we've invested about $68 million in downtown. We're investing in redoing Main Street, redoing Elm Street, 4th Street Plaza. We've got a parking garage. We've got a lot of things happening in downtown. And as we all know, what happens on the main street of cities determines the growth and trajectory of that city. We have 77 small businesses in downtown Frisco. So if we don't care about how those businesses grow and thrive as a city, we've missed the mark. So I think as a city, it would behoove us to make sure that we're incentivizing developers to come down and invest in our downtown. Not only does it help economically with the growth of the city, it gives small businesses a comfort level knowing that they have a place to call home. Those small 77 businesses in our downtown know that we're going to reinvest in facades and infrastructure that's going to grow their businesses. So absolutely, I'm 100% supportive of the city being behind the growth of downtown.
Let's go to the top 10 priorities. From the current city council list of top 10 priorities, which do you think is the most important or your passion? And is there one you would add? Angelia, you have 1 minute.
Well, you just hit it. I am very passionate about downtown. Downtown is the core of our city, and I've been quoted as saying, it feels like downtown is the place that Frisco forgot. We've got a lot of history in downtown. Downtown is the core of who we are. That rail district is a part of who we are as a city. And so to invest in that rail district not only is an investment in those small businesses, but it's an investment in the culture and the branding of Frisco. So that is certainly one that I'm very excited about. I would say that the second one is I love the partnership that's going to take place between the EDC and our chamber, because they're going to be investing in those small businesses, whether it's through a procurement map, whether it's through supplier diversity, whether it's having more small business seminars. I'm really excited about that partnership, so that also is one that I'm excited about. In terms of what new would I add to this, to the list, do I have time for that? I do not have time for that. So I'm excited about two things for sure.
John, 1 minute.
Thank you. So looking at the list, recalling the list, I can think of downtown, I can think of Grand Park, I can think of community engagement, roadways, infrastructure. I'm sure I'm leaving out several. I would argue that there's probably one that I would add that over the course of the last few days we've heard from the incumbents that public safety is kind of just a given. I might argue that in the spirit of the conversations that are happening and kind of the tone and the tenor of the conversation around Prop A and Prop B, that maybe we should add the men and women that represent our fire department, our first responders, our public safety personnel as a priority.
Next question involves 2 words, Grand Park. The master plan of Grand Park is one of the council's top 10 priorities as well for 2024. What would you like to see included as essential to that plan? John, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. So in the 19 years we've lived here, I think the conversation around Grand Park has been a priority for the mayor, and I think it probably started as a priority for the mayor when he was still a council person. So this is a conversation that's been going on for a long time, and it's refreshing to see that there's actually a parking lot and people can go and start to see what's there. What I understand is that Grand Park is kind of be the Texas version of Central Park, right? So I'm excited to understand the mitigation that will occur now that Exide is gone. I believe Stewart Creek runs through that property. There's supposed to be a large lake there. So I'm excited to think about what the families of Frisco can do in terms of recreation, appreciating nature. I can imagine, you know, with the trails and the hike and bike stuff that's already important to the city, that, you know, there'll be food trucks and really cool venues for people to enjoy.
Angelia?
I'm excited about Grand Park. Grand Park is about 1,100 acres, and if you think about all of the Disney theme parks in Florida combined, you still have space left over. So that's the magnitude of the land that we're looking at developing. So we have to get it right. You can't just slap anything on that park because parks are forever. You can make changes in activation, but the realization is you've got to make sure that you do it right. And so that's what we've been doing, is we've been looking at what are those design principles around exploration and discovery. We have determined we want more of an experiential model where we're going to have different experiences at different points in the park. I'm excited because I think maybe we might have an amphitheater. So we're going to have a healthy dose of natural preservation as well as activation. We don't want it all activation because some people go to the park just to get away from it all, just to enjoy the beautiful nature. And then some people want to go to a park where there's some kind of activation, an amphitheater or food trucks or things like that. We want a combination of both, and we can have it all at Grand Park. It's going to be grand.
All right, last question. Pull out your crystal ball. Where do you hope to see Frisco in the year 2024? Angelia, 1 minute. Oh, sorry. 2040. Or 2024. I mean, it is right now. No, 2040.
Yeah, that's a long ways out, but we've actually been thinking about that. So as a council, I mean, that's why you pay us the big bucks, right? To think long-term about where the city is headed. I would say that, you know, we're already about 86% built out, so we don't have a whole lot of land left to develop. But as I look out into the future, first of all, I see a culture. I see a culture where we're not divided by partisan preferences. I see a culture where people enjoy spending time with their neighbor regardless of the differences that they bring to the table. I see a city where there is healthy growth. We've got great experiences, from Universal to a performing arts center to sports to natural preservation in the parks. I see a city where people want to come not only to live, but to enjoy, and ultimately where young kids want to come back and start their family. And so we have a generational culture where people of all ages come to enjoy this city. This is what I see for Frisco. That is the future that I envision for this city, a harmonious city where people love to live here.
Thank you. John, and just to be clear, the year 2040.
2040, right?
2040.
So 2040 isn't nearly as far away as we think, which is both amazing, delightful, and scary. In 2040, I can envision that Frisco will continue to be a leader in innovation. It will be a leader in community technologies. Like my opponent, I would agree that partisanship is interesting and we should all get along and come to consensus. I would also argue that Human nature is one that if I don't know you and I ask you probably some fairly simple questions, I can gain some insight about you. So I don't use that as a crutch. I think that's very important. At the end of the day, 2040 is we will continue to see Frisco will have lots of really tall buildings. It'll have lots of people. It may have lots of traffic. And so I still go back to my argument that we need to be responsible in that development as we move forward.
Thank you.
you.
It's now time for closing statements, 1 minute each for each candidate. And we'll do that in reverse ballot order. Angelia Pelham, you'll be first.
So we don't get to ask our question?
We'll go ahead and do that. Yes.
So we'll do the question now?
Yes, question now.
So Mr. Redmond, you, and we just talked about partisanship, and you spent a lot of time on social media wanting to know my voting record and, my political party affiliation. So I guess my question for you is, I know you've read the job description of a city council member. You know what we do. We make decisions on roads and water and public safety and those kinds of things. So help me understand what aspect of the job description of a city council member should we interject partisanship into our decision making? Should there be Republican and Democrat roads? Should there be Republican, Democrat water fountains, separate but equal? Should we expect our public safety when you call 911 to say, what's your political party? Help me understand how you're going to interject partisanship into this role of city council.
Yeah, so I'll answer your question directly. The principles that our president has weighed on this country have been bad for our country. I don't want to see those principles interjected here into the city of Frisco. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, my principles, my convictions, my moral compass are non-negotiable. You mentioned to me the other day that integrity is important. Integrity is important. We agree on that 100%. I don't apologize for who and what I am. And so if my friends, my family, my faith, my respect for freedom, the principles of the party that really reflects on who I am most quickly, I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't think it comes into roads separate equal, and I mean, so I understand you're trying to make a point, but the reality is this is Texas, this is Frisco. We have seen the challenges of other cities that have Democratic leadership and what happens.
John, you can now ask a question of Angelia.
You mentioned earlier that you are an HR expert. Over the course of the last 18 months, there's been some turnover at some fairly senior roles in our city staff. So I just wonder, as a HR expert, what you have done or would be prepared to do to help mitigate some of those risks.
So if I were the HR person for the city of Frisco, I would have very specific strategies, but that's not my role on council. However, I will give you my insight on what I think is happening at City Hall relative to some of the turnover. Whenever you have a new leader coming into an organization, you can expect some natural attrition. You may have people who were vying for the job that may leave. That's natural. You may have people who are afraid of where the leader might take them and they don't want to go there, so they might leave. You may have people who just have better opportunities, and I think we had a little bit of that. You may have people who think, wow, I don't know what my career path is under this new leader, so I may go where I think greener pastures are. So the reason for turnover could be multiple reasons, and I think we have a little bit of both when you look at the turnover that's happened in the city.
Now it's time for closing statements. 1 minute each for each candidate in reverse ballot order. Angelia, you'll go first.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. I'm Angelia Pelham. I am the incumbent for City Council Place 3. And I'll end where I started. I love this city. I love the decisions that have been made. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. But are we headed in the right direction? Are we a healthy city Do we have right leaders making the right decisions? Absolutely, we do. Can we always look for continuous improvement? Yes, and I will be a part of looking for continuous improvement in our city. But what I will assure you is I will lead with integrity. I will make independent decisions that I feel are in the best interest of all four corners of Frisco. I will continue to focus on public safety. I will continue to focus on smart growth. I will continue to focus on tax relief, and I will continue to focus on community engagement. I hope that you have seen what you expected to see of an integrity-filled leader, and I hope that you vote me in for my second term of City Council, Place 3.
John?
I also would like to thank all of you that are here. As I started, I'd like to thank those that are not here but are watching online and will reflect and watch this back in slow motion and back up stuff. My name is John Redmond. I'm running for Frisco City Council, Place 3. We are running on a platform to ensure that I can be a good steward for your taxpayer dollars, that we can protect the men and women that are first responders of our public safety, that we create an environment where small businesses can thrive. My opponent asked for grace 3 years ago, and she said that we were going to get to know her. I think we've gotten to know her, but I want to hear you. I look forward to your vote May 4th. Again, my name is John Redmond.
Thank you to both of you for participating in tonight's forum. We will now take a break and get ready for Frisco ISD. Thank you.
Okay. Frisco ISD trustee candidates.
Yes, if you need to take notes while you're going, we're not using prepared notes yet. Do you have enough paper? Or do you need more? You're good.
Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, Frisco ISD trustee candidates, and thank you for being here. We're going to go over a quick reminder of the format before we get started. Each candidate gets a 2-minute opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. As Rick asks questions, you'll get a 1-minute response. And be sure to keep an eye on our timekeeper, who's over on that side of Rick, who will give you a 30-second warning card and a stop card when time is up. And we hope to not to have to use the cowbell, yes, an actual cowbell, when that time is done. While there will not be rebuttals, each candidate can challenge one answer by their opponent, and that will be a 1-minute response for that challenge. Okay, Rick, they're yours for the questions.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Frisco ISD Place 6 candidates. In ballot order, Frederick Kaiser and Sherry Salas. We will take opening statements in ballot order. Frederick Kaiser, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. It's a fantastic opportunity for us. My name is Fred Kaiser. I'm running for Place 6 here for FISD Board of Trustees. Bit of background, I have a bachelor's in secondary education, MBA in accounting. My wife and I met at the United States Air Force Academy when we were both cadets there, and then when we moved to Texas, we moved to Frisco as quickly as we could, specifically for the schools. I'm currently an educator right now. I'm starting my 21st year as a teacher. 14 of those years were spent in FISD. So yeah, I was when Frisco Liberty opened, when the building opened, I was a part of that crew there. So I spent 14 years at Frisco Liberty High School as a head boys soccer coach, also as a teacher for economics, personal finance, AP economics, and shoot 2 or 3 other subjects as well. I wrote curriculum for the district. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. I really enjoyed reading the legislative agenda for the Chamber of Commerce, where personal finance was one of the, requiring a semester of personal finance is one of the things that you guys are advocating for. I wrote the personal finance curriculum and the economics curriculum in FISD, so that's something that's near and dear to my heart. I was elected by teachers in FISD to serve on campus improvement team, district improvement team, safety and security. Teachers trust me. I know them. I've been there. That's definitely a part of what I'm doing. I'm currently a personal finance teacher, head boys soccer coach, and also assistant athletic director of budget and finance in another school district right now here in Plano. So. Yeah, that's the quick summation so I don't get yelled at, although I would love to hear the cowbell.
Thank you very much. Sherry, you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting tonight. I'd also like to thank Grace Church for always hosting. I'm thinking as a candidate this year, but also many years as a spectator. I know how hard it is to secure a large space in Frisco, so I appreciate having that as an option. My name is Sherry Salas. I'm running for Frisco ISD Board of Trustees, Place 6. I have lived in Frisco for 14 years with my family. I've been happily married to my husband, Juan Salas, for 26 years. We have 2 daughters. Our oldest is Isabella. She is a graduate of Frisco High School. She currently attends A&M University in Galveston as a marine biology major. Our baby, Elena, is a senior at Reedy High School, and she will be attending Sam Houston State in the fall for criminal justice and criminology. I got my start in Frisco serving the community in around 2013 with the Power Lines Project, Bury the Lines. I was one of the founding members of that project, advocated for 3 years, learned the process in Austin, and that's when I met my elected leaders for the first time, created relationships. Fast forward to 2017 is when, I was placed on Frisco ISD's Priority Budgeted Base Committee because of my servitude in the city prior to, and I did that. I've served on many committees since then. But in 2017, another thing happened. We had a little bit of an issue in our district with my daughter, and that was the first time I learned that I really, even though I'd been serving and volunteering with the PTA and all of the things, that was the first time I learned I didn't know how to help myself. And so that's when I decided to start attending all school board meetings, and I've attended over 100 since then. And I've been doing that to gain knowledge and understanding on how ISD and public education works, so then I can understand better for my family. And my passion is then bringing that information to the community, and I'd love the opportunity to do that on an ISD level. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sherry, we'll start with you for the first question. If elected, what would be your first priority as a member of the Board of Trustees? And remember, you have 1 minute.
Well, first priority, and honestly it's just something that is near and dear to my heart, is the teacher retention. It's not going away, and I feel like in the last year or two we've brought that message nationally and actually state and local that most people understand that there's an issue with teacher retention, but we need to take that conversation to a granular level and start sharing with our community and our stakeholders what's kind of hitting that area, and maybe address some of the smaller issues that we can control. Really dive into what we can change and be effective with our existing educators, because the reality is our teachers are retiring, they're leaving. We have a cup that is emptying, but we're not graduating them. We need to be able to do the work to recruit talented and really great teachers, and then create a culture to hire and then retire. Make it to where nobody wants to leave and they really enjoy teaching in our schools, so then they want to stay and create that tenure. Thank you.
Frederick, 1 minute.
Thank you. I'll echo Sherry on that one. Teacher retention is something that's near and dear to my heart, and it is the #1 priority. Losing 1 in 6 teachers, or 1 in 7, or 1 in 6 faculty members, 1 in 7 teachers every year, that's an issue. The good news is a lot of those folks would like to stay in the district, or they have positive things to say about it, but it's not a reality for a lot of them. As a current educator and as a former FISD teacher, that's something that I can definitely speak to when it comes to those types of things. I have that experience. I am plugged in. A lot of my campaign staff and folks who are helping me out, they're all teachers. I'm used to listening to them. I mean, shoot, the state titles stuff for soccer's going on right now, and I'm still getting text messages back and forth on either soccer or, hey, FYI, this is something that's of a concern to us. So. Teacher retention is huge, and it has to be a priority.
Next question. The state legislature has not increased per student funding since 2019, and Frisco ISD adopted a deficit budget for the 2023-24 fiscal year, while still giving a raise to staff. What are your thoughts on the district's current financial strategy limitations? And Frederick, you'll go first. 1 minute.
Yeah, not only has the state not increased, they've actually decreased the amount of funding per student by $600 per student. That's an issue. The state does like to brag that, yeah, we're giving more money than ever to the school districts, but it's like, shoot, great, fantastic. Our population is increasing. We have inflation. The state, I would hope, starts to do their job when it comes to that, and it's still waiting on budgetary constraints there. The district has done a good job in the past in terms of seeing to the future, not relying on the state when it comes to those types of things and the empty promises that continue to be made. They need to continue to do that. It's a ever-mounting issue, and the district does a fantastic job on that. However, we do have a lot of budgetary constraint, or a lot of budgetary issues that we can address, but we do need to keep the money closest to the students and closest to those who are going to learn.
Sherry, 1 minute.
So, no, the state has not increased funding for public education since 2019. In fact, Texas is ranked 41st in funding education. That is how long, that's where we are, despite having one of the strongest economies in the country. It's problematic, and it's not okay. There's $4 billion right now earmarked for public education sitting in Texas, and our legislators will not release it. We need that money. And yes, our ISD just approved a deficit budget, but the good news is we have a very healthy rainy day budget, a rainy day fund that is going to cover that, and we have a really great conservative finance department that's going to cover that. Here's the thing. We're probably not going to come out of this, and we need to approving a deficit budget every year is just not going to be ideal. And if we have to go in and start figuring out creative cuts, we need to stay away from class sizes and required essential teacher staff. We need to make effective moves and manage that. And I'm sure the district will make good choices. Thank you.
Let's go into the classroom for a moment. Frisco ISD gives students a retest option with the idea that showing mastery is the goal, even if that doesn't happen the first time a student takes a test. What are your thoughts on this policy? Sherry, you have 1 minute.
You were talking about the good old standard-based grading, and I've been showing up for the district for a long time. If there's a committee, I'm applying to volunteer, and I just so happen to serve on the parent academy that was directed at standard-based grading. That was about a year ago, and I went in, they had a book you had to read, I read the book, it wasn't, anyway. I was in the meeting and in the committee, and I literally remember saying, this is an amazing idea. The child in me really, really champions this ideology. But my words were, how do we apply this? We have a teacher retention issue. Can we do this effectively? Fast forward, I've met with staff, and I've asked, and there have been some challenges, and they recognized that last year, and they're trying to apply some things. And we need to open communication so we can have a really good understanding of what all teachers are doing across the district. There needs to be some parallel, equal communication on how we're doing standard-based grading and make those changes effective. Thank you.
Frederick, 1 minute.
Short version is, well, yes, I can't really do that, but I'll go with my minute. I understand the concept behind it, that we want to allow the students the opportunity to show mastery. The reality is all the negative unintended consequences that the book that Sherry was talking about are coming to fruition within FISD. As an on-level economics teacher, I had seniors there. I had to drag a lot of my students kicking and screaming into the classroom to make it up. The reality is it's mostly your AP students who already have an 88 or an 87 who are retesting up to that 90. Another unintended consequence is coming through on that. The colleges, and specifically UT, they were very vocal on this one. They're bringing back the mandate for the ACT-SAT as a data point because of the great inflation. The UT system was exceedingly specific about that. We're getting all these students that are approaching a 4.0 GPA, yet 80% of them are having to take a remedial class without having any credit for it. So I understand what the goal was. I think it's time to revisit it.
Thank you. It's said that the students of today are the workforce of tomorrow. Education is a key component in preparing students for success in the workforce. Where do you think we are succeeding in workforce development in Frisco ISD, and where do you see opportunities for changes or innovation? Frederick, you'll go first, 1 minute.
Sir, please do me a favor, Fred. When I hear Frederick, I'm assuming
Hey,
my mom or my fifth grade teacher is
They
yelling
put
at me.
Frederick on the
It kinda
card.
scares me,
Okay,
so.
Fred, you got it.
So
you got
I
it.
apologize on that. But yeah, thank you. Frisco ISD is succeeding in a lot of ways. I'll be honest. While I was here when the CTE Center was opening up and all the joys that came along with it, I personally, as a teacher, I was a little bit skeptical about it. That being said, it's been fantastic. The amount of opportunities that they keep opening up, both for workplace readiness, also college career advancement when it comes to it, also with just the expansion of all the programs that are out there, the district gives these students the opportunity to learn a lot of different things. And that is awesome. And they keep expanding those things, and the district is definitely succeeding in the opportunities they give them. Again, going back with the retest policy or the waterfall grading policy, I think that's our biggest hindrance because we are teaching students, especially even when they're graduating, that you're going to have second and third chances, and that's just not reality when it comes to college and career readiness.
Sherry, 1 minute.
So the district's doing a great job in this area. We have opportunity at the CTE Center with our dual credit opportunity. We have AP courses. My family has benefited from AP. My oldest, who's at A&M, we've saved a great deal of money on that. We also have opportunity for trades at CTE, which is awesome for students who may not be going straight to major university. I think the standard-based grading issue is kind of creating some hiccups and some issues for being workforce ready, but I think those are areas that we can, see past. The cool thing about all of these opportunities is it gives our students ability to have first, hands-on opportunity, and then they can decide when they're young, is this working for me? And if not, then they can move on to something else and sign up and experience a different option during their high school years. So then they can be familiar for when they do go next to high school and the workforce. Thank you.
All right, it's now your chance to ask the questions. So Sherry, do you have a question for your opponent? And you have 1 minute to answer.
Okay, you're throwing curveballs. Question. Okay, so Fred, this is something that isn't just a concern of mine as a stakeholder, parent, and ISD person. It's something that actually people have asked me about you. Because you currently work for a private school entity, how do you see your ability to advocate in Austin on a state level? Because I know for me, when my husband worked for, he's worked in the restaurant industry in executive office, and when he would work with this one particular restaurant, we weren't necessarily allowed to eat at the other competing restaurants. It wasn't like written anywhere, but that was an understood thing. So how do you see yourself advocating in Austin to the best ability, all things considered?
Honestly, it's a good and it's also a fair question. I had an opportunity for career advancement. Frisco ISD does a fantastic job in terms of mentoring teachers. One of the areas that they have for improvement is mentoring for coaches. 55% of our students participate in athletics. However, I'm a soccer coach, and I was told very specifically, even though I had 4 athletic coordinators at my campus in the time there, that we don't have a position for a soccer coach to rise up. So it was a career advancement opportunity for me to be an assistant athletic director of budget and finance within the private school system. I will note both of my sons are in FISD schools. I moved here for a reason. I could bring both of them with me to the private school that I teach at. I love that school, but I also truly believe FISD is the place to be for my own children. I'm walking the talk on that one. In terms of actually advocating on that, I'm a parent first, and I spent half of my life in career in FISD. I'm going to be the biggest advocate that it is possible for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred, do you have a question for Sherry?
Yeah, mine's a little bit nicer. No, I'm just playing.
It's not personal.
Oh, I know, Sherry, you're fine. For me, outside of anything to do with your family, what is the thing that you are most proud of that you've accomplished in your life?
Okay, that's a fair question, because my family, yeah.
That's why I made it hard.
I know, listen, you don't know me that well. Cricketing, creating, DIYing, my friends and community members, they know who knows how to run power tools, who knows how to build something with very little, call Sherry. Serving, the reason I get asked to do things is because typically people need to do things with a very small budget. So I'll be honest, I'm craftier and handier than most people. I can replace ceiling fans, I can replace dishwashers, and repair my own washer and dryer. Done it. So I guess it'd be kind of like handyman. I'm just that nerd, and I'm an information person, so it's still in servitude if I'm being honest, because my friends and people know to call me, hey, how do you do this? That's my passion.
All right, it's time for closing statements of 1 minute each, and the candidates will go in reverse ballot order, which means that Sherry, you are first.
Hi, I've been showing up for the district for many years. When I say I started in 2017, y'all, that's not just a here or there every great once in a while. I've been in this room many times, many years. I come here, and typically, I'd like to apologize I didn't push out the link tonight. That's what I would be doing. My passion is bringing information to other people so stakeholders can be informed responsibly and get firsthand knowledge, information, versus hearing it from other people. I've been doing it for a long time. I push out links, the live link to the school board meeting every single month. Anytime there's pertinent information, I push it out. I beg people to vote. I beg people to be informed on our firsthand knowledge. My name is Sherry Salas. Please vote for me. Please ask 10 of your friends to vote for me. And if anyone would like to speak with me, reach out to me. I'm on social media. I have Facebook. I have a website. I am your next candidate for Place 6. Thank you.
Fred, 1 minute, closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you once again to the Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to speak and get our messages out. Again, I am Fred Kaiser, running for Place 6 for FISD Board of Trustees. I've been a part of this district since 2006. Literally half of my life has been in dedication to this district, either as a teacher or as a parent. I've served on the committees. I've been trusted by the teachers. I've been trusted by the administration to serve and be a voice for people. I'm looking to continue to do that. I continue to talk with teachers, with parents, with students, and get those feedback. These are my strengths. My biggest strength is the ability to listen. I'm very proud of the fact that I have folks on both sides of the political aisle who have come to me and they've said, Fred, I might not agree with you on X, Y, and Z, but I trust that your voice and your decisions are going to be in the best interest of my child. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing my entire life. That's what I would hope to continue to do. Thank you.
Well, we want to thank both of you for taking part in today's forum. We want to thank you both for taking part in today's forum. And we'll take a quick break to go with our next group.
Do we have a notepad? Notepad to write on?
You can have a notepad, yes. You need a notepad.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a sheet of paper? That's fine. You don't have it, don't worry about it.
Okay, we're going to get started here as soon as both candidates are up on the stage. Again, we want to thank Grace Church this evening for being our gracious host for this candidate forum. Thank you to Tim and his group. And thank you to everybody who is here in the audience tonight. Thank you for showing up and listening and being engaged. And to those of you who are watching online on friscochamber.com, thank you as well for being engaged. Such an important part of being in the community. Okay, I'm going to remind the candidates, we're going to go over real quickly to review the format before I hand it over to Rick for the questions. Each candidate gets a 2-minute opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement. And as Rick asks questions, you'll get a 1-minute response time. Be sure to keep an eye on our timer. Our timer is right over there on the other side of Rick, who will give you a 30-second warning card and a stop card when the time is up. And we hope to not have to use the cowbell to cut anybody off. While there will not be rebuttals, each candidate can challenge one answer by their opponent, and with the 1-minute response for that challenge. Okay, Rick, they are yours to ask questions.
Thank you, Maureen. And thank you for being patient as we go with our last form. Your FISD Place 7 candidates in ballot order are Keith Maddox and Melanie Barrios Jones. Opening statements are done in ballot order, so Keith, you are up first.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Keith Maddox, and I'm running for Frisco ISD Place 7. Just a little couple of things about me. My wife and I have lived here in the district for 14 years. We had 2 kids to graduate and that did extremely well. A couple of points I want to bring to you if elected. First being, I will ensure that the district is adequately funded. Secondly, I will ensure that we maintain our student opportunity model. Third, I'm going to ensure that we maintain a safe environment for our kids. And lastly, I want to make sure that we maintain a level of communication between the educators, parents, and students. Education is very important to me. Currently, I work as the Chief Compliance Officer for UNT Dallas. I have over 35 years of management leadership experience, which includes U.S. Department of Education, NASA, Postal Service, and the Navy. I love the environment. I love giving our kids the opportunity to learn. I think it is one of the most important jobs that we have as parents, and just as being good people, is taking care of our young folks. And what better way than the opportunity we give them here in Frisco. So I ask for your vote. I look forward to engaging you. It has been so enjoyable to interact with the parents and with the voters throughout this campaign season. They bring great questions, they have great ideas, and I look to continue that effort in being involved and interacting with them. Again, I think Frisco is one of the best school districts throughout the country. I love it, and I fully support it, and ask for your vote. Thank you.
Melanie, your opening statement.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having us. My name is Melanie Barrios Jones, and I am running for Place 7 for Frisco ISD. We are proud members of the city of Frisco. My family and I relocated here from Southern California in 2015. I have a 29-year-old daughter who has a master's degree, is currently a newlywed and married to her husband who just got his PhD. And my husband and I have been married for almost 34 years, and we are all products of public education, and we're big believers in what public education brings to not only families, but our community and our nation at large. Frisco was a lifesaver for us, and everybody that knows me knows, because I say this over and over again, I love this district with all my heart. We had horrific experience in California with our son who has special needs. So my 2 children have a large gap. I have a 29-year-old and a 15-year-old. That's how God planned it, and that's where we're at. Frisco was literally a lifesaver in ways that I couldn't have imagined. I didn't know people could be this great. I didn't know a district could be this good. I had zero faith left with how bad it was in California. And in getting here, the people were amazing. The faculty, the staff, upper management, everybody was incredible. And I want to continue to make sure that Frisco stays at the very top of their game, which is the reason why I'm running. I'm not just running as a special education parent. I'm running for everybody in Frisco, but I will say this. The special education population makes up 12.1% of our student body, and we're continuing to grow, and we deserve to have a seat at the table. So make no mistake, I am for everybody, all of our students, all of our teachers, all of our parents, all of our administrators, but certainly to giving our special needs population an opportunity to have a seat at that table. Thank you.
Okay, we'll dive into the questions. Melanie, you will answer first. What do you see as the top challenge facing public schools today, and how would you address it as a trustee?
Are you asking about public education all over the place?
Yes.
Okay, ooh, that's a hard one. All right. So right now, one of the challenges that public education is facing is that charter schools are actually kicking our butts. Last year, a nonpartisan report came out that stated that charter schools outperform public schools with the same amount of instructional minutes, 6 extra days in math, and 16 extra days in reading. That's significant, and that's something that needs to be investigated by all public schools so that we can continue to provide that best product out there for our students, because not all families can afford to go to a charter or a private school, and public education has to be able to keep pace, and to me, should be exceeding the charter school. Thank you.
Keith, you have 1 minute.
Well, I think the biggest challenge facing Frisco ISD is ensuring that we have adequate funding. As you know, the state is sitting on $32.7 billion in what they refer to as a rainy day fund. Of that, $4 billion is allocated, should be allocated for education. Now, of course, I would love for Frisco to have all of that, but I know we won't get that, but we are entitled to our fair share. I also believe in helping out our other districts who may not be as fortunate as we are. But of that $4 billion, again, I'd like to remind you that we have done our part, and it's time for the state to do their part. And as it relates to charter schools, I want you to keep in mind that not everyone, charter school does not have to accept every student, but public education does. And that's one of the things that makes us great, that we're all in it together, and we will support every kid. We're not going to be selective when it comes down to charter schools. Thank you.
Keith, you'll be the first to answer. Considering challenges posed by the reported teacher shortages, particularly in Texas, how do you propose Frisco ISD should proactively ensure the recruitment and retention of qualified educators and staff?
Well, the retention has been a problem not only for Frisco, but other districts as well. Now, the state average is around 15%, and I think we're sitting at 12. Now, one of the things I would propose is that we ensure that we continue to recruit and do everything, incentives that we can provide to the teachers. We have some of the best qualified, educated teachers in the country I will put up against. So we have to continue to support them. One of the things that you will find, everyone wants to be supported in their job, and we have to look out for the teachers and ensure that we are providing them an environment where they can thrive and they can take care of our kids and they can do what they were hired to do, which is teach our kids. But it's very hard to do that if you feel as though you're being given unfunded mandates or you're being constantly micromanaged. So definitely I would support them, because everyone wants to work in an environment. Most people, they don't quit jobs, they quit their employee or quit their boss. So provide an environment for them to thrive would be my point. Thank you.
Melanie, you have 1 minute.
Will you repeat the question, please?
Considering challenges posed by the reported teacher shortages, particularly in Texas, how do you propose Frisco ISD should proactively ensure the recruitment and retention of qualified educators and staff?
Teacher loss has been a challenge for Frisco for the last few years, and while I do realize that teacher shortage is going on everywhere, we are Frisco ISD. We hold ourselves to a higher standard. We're in an affluent community where people have expectations. Interestingly, last night at the Divine Nine Forum, I talked about the fact that a teacher approached me and let me know that currently teachers are sprucing up their resumes and passing them out and getting ready to go jump ship again because we have not yet finalized our budget. Unfortunately, my opponent, who now is stating that he understands that there's a retention problem, told everybody in the room that that was a lie. It is not a lie. Last year, we lost 686 students, teachers. The year before, we lost 860 teachers. We need to improve our culture, our environment, get behaviors under control, have less micromanaging. I do agree with that part for our teachers. Their planning time is being taken away, and their desks were taken away last year. They cannot teach in a chaotic environment. Kids cannot learn in a chaotic environment, and we need to provide the best environment possible for our teachers and our students.
Thank you. School safety is a top priority for Frisco ISD, and safe to say most parents. What do you know about the district's current safety strategy, and would you change anything? And actually, Melanie will go first for this one.
I was ready to go.
You were ready to go, though.
You were saving my ankle. It's all good. School safety. So I can tell you that I met with Chief Shilson last year, and I've also met with the president of the Police Officers Association. And as you guys know, they're all still active members of our police department. Our SROs do a phenomenal job. They're amazing. School safety has always been a priority for Frisco ISD. I have been to multiple coffee talks with Dr. Waldrop as well as Dr. Lyons when he was here about what Frisco does. The bell system, you can't get in, the doors are locked. We have roving police officers for our elementary schools as we work to implement a plan and get funding together to be able to have an SRO at our elementary schools too. I believe that Frisco is at the forefront when it comes to safety for our kiddos, and I feel very confident that even when there's a storm coming, my son is way safer at school than he is at home.
Keith, you have 1 minute.
Yes. Well, school safety is the utmost important. We always want our kids to go and be in a safe environment. I also have met with the chief of police and other district administrators, and they have assured me, and I'm pretty confident in the plans that we have in place. In addition to that, let's not forget that we have the SAFER, which is situational awareness for emergency responders. And what that does in a nutshell is allow the emergency responders to get real-time visualization of what's going on in a school building should there be an emergency. Time is very important when it comes to saving lives. So we're protected on both ends. We have the resource officers, we have a great safety program, and we have a situation where it's the SAFER program that allows us to protect our kids. So I feel pretty confident in the situation that we have and an environment that we're putting our kids in. Thank you.
I'm going to ask a simple question. Keith, you'll answer first. What differentiates you from your opponent?
Well, to me, experience matters. As I mentioned before, I have 35 years of management leadership experience. Of those 35 years, I spent 11 years with the U.S. Department of Education. I was responsible for a 5-state region, which included Texas, New Mexico, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. I also was the executive officer. I also was responsible for the director of pandemic relief. So I have a ton of experience dealing with policies, procedures, meeting with local school boards, state school boards, dealing with Congress, dealing with parents, dealing with a myriad of issues. Also, having worked at NASA, I'm accustomed to working with scientists and dealing with people from every walk of life, not including my military background, would expose me to having to be able to communicate and work with people from all walks of life. I think that is one of the things that will make it easy or make it better for me to be the elected person in this position.
Melanie, same question.
Thank you. So I have over 38 years of experience in corporate America as well as in small business. And I think that too, as a parent of very different children with my special needs child, I have been very successful in advocating not only for my own child, but other people's children in the district. I've been that go-to person. I'm also highly involved in this district. From the time I got here, I have been implementing change and creating things that have been for not just my son, but for everybody in the district. The parent handbook is one of them. I've sat on multiple committees. I was in the standards-based grading committee. I'm on the district advisory council currently in guaranteed and viable curriculum, and I am on the ground doing the job now. I am helping teachers, I am advocating for them, I am constantly looking at ways that we can improve how we do things in Frisco ISD. We're great, we want to be even greater, and so for me, between the corporate mindset, because there's a difference between bureaucracy and corporate. Corporate people are all about solving problems and not about creating more things to do. Thank you.
All right, it's time for you to take my job for a moment and ask each other a question. Melanie, would you like to ask a question of Keith?
Oh, this will be fun. In case you can't tell, I like to have fun while I'm working. Okay, so I have a question for you. Last night, you said that was a lie when I mentioned the teachers that were leaving Frisco. I was offended, I'm going to be honest with you. That was hard to take. I don't usually have people speak to me in that manner or talk about me in that manner, and my son was in the room, so it made it extra hard to take. So let me ask you, let me give you an opportunity. Were you calling me a liar, or were you saying that the information I had wasn't truthful?
Did I say liar? Did I say that information is correct?
You said that is a lie. You said teachers are not leaving, houses would be for sale, and you went into all this detail, and I'll tell you if you really knew what was going on. Our teachers, most of them don't live in Frisco because they can't afford it. They commute in. So go ahead.
So to answer the question, the retention problem as it relates to our teachers in Frisco are no different than, as I mentioned before, the surrounding district. We have, in fact, a better retention rate, if you want to look at it like that, better than the state and better than the other district. In fact, when I first moved to Frisco 14 years ago, there were a number of teachers that were leaving Plano and other districts, moving into Frisco. It is a natural occurrence. Teachers have left because of administrative purposes, they got better promotions, or they just simply retired, and also because of COVID. So it's just a natural progression from an HR perspective that you will lose people. But keep in mind, it is a fact that our retention rate for our teachers is in a better position than other places. And also, I still hold to the fact with the data, people are moving into Frisco. We are still the #1 city. We're still the safest city based upon the schools. It all comes down to that.
Keith, you ask a question of Melanie?
Hold on.
No, no.
He didn't answer the question.
So my question is simple. I generally know people not by what they say, but by their heart. So my question to you is simple as this. Have you ever said anything disparaging about the district? In particular, I want to refer back to March 2023, when you had sort of a passionate moment about the district. Do you want to explain what you were doing?
I don't know what you're referring to.
So there is a recording of you at the school board where you were passionate, a bit upset, irate about what was going on in the district. And even before, on a number of occasions, you've alluded to that the district was falling apart we need to get to a question. Oh. What is the question? The question is, have you ever said anything disparaging about Frisco ISD?
I don't feel that I've ever said anything disparaging about Frisco ISD, but I do tell the truth. I do tell the truth. And I'm going to call a spade a spade. And if there's challenges, I'm going to call out those challenges. It's no different than being a parent with your children. When your children make a mistake, you go, hey, hold on. This is inappropriate, and this is why. At the particular board meeting that he's referring to, I did come in defense of some things that were going on to remind them that they had a duty to each other as board members. They have a duty to each other. And I said, as quickly you're looking to wield a sword against one of the people that are on the board with you, you'll find that when you're not in lockstep anymore, and if you disagree, that same sword is going to be turned on you. Those are not disparaging remarks. That is me trying to help you understand how life works and to make sure that you're being good stewards with each other. I'm always going to be honest and tell the truth. I love this district with all my heart, but I will not lie for anybody for any reason, ever.
It's now time for closing statements of 1 minute each for each candidate in reverse ballot order. Melanie, you'll go first.
Public education is a service, and I think that we've kind of gotten away from that and forgotten what that means. We have a duty to our students, to our parents, to our teachers, and to our administrators. The students are not really prepared for college as well as they should be. Our parents feel like they've been sidelined. Our teachers feel like their voices have been silenced, and our administrators don't feel supported. We need problem solvers, not more policy and bureaucracy. We need people that are going to get in there and do the work, because here's what's going to wind up happening. If we continue to spend more time trying to spin the story that everything's perfect when it's not, that leaves us less time to invest in actually doing the work that it's going to need to get the job actually done. I hope that I've earned your vote. Jones, the number 4, FISD.com. I have people coming to me all the time with their story. You can go to my website and anonymously report a story completely. I won't know who you are, but I promise I'll share it, I'll hear it, I'll listen to you, but I will fight for you. I hope I have your vote. Thank you.
Keith, 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Let's just cut straight to the point. Experience matters. It matters when you come in a room to be able to solve a problem. I have gotten blessed to be able to have jobs, as Melanie referred to, important jobs. But those important jobs that I earned were given to me or selected for me because I had the capabilities. I could be trusted, I could be counted on, and I can get the job done. If elected for this position, you can count on me to get the job done. You know I will come to the table with experience. You know I will have a solution. You know I will fix what needs to be done. Again, I always say, we don't have time to play with our kids. This is a very important job. This is not something we should take for